Real Grade Zeta Gundam. Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs, gundam.tk, and you've already seen the mobile suit and the transformed Wave Rider mode here for the Real Grade 1/144th Excitement Embodied, long-awaited Zeta Gundam. Anyway, here's my final thoughts on this kit so that you can make the call as to whether you want to add this to your collection or not. It's in Wave Rider form here, which is appropriate, I figured, for the negatives. But let's start with the first one, where when you're looking at price, you're going to see all of these real grades for 2,500 yen, some of them with incredible details and backpacks and all sorts of cool accessories. And anyway, you might be wondering what you're paying 3,000 for with the Zeta Gundam when you don't see something like Freedom or Destiny wings on its back, although you wonder if it's going to be setting a precedent now with 3,000. The other thing for me is putting it all together. It just seemed a little bit strange. You get so used to, I always do a parts review here because it's fun to put the limbs together and you can do these kinds of things for me in one sitting. So, you're going to do the arms one build, you're going to do the legs another time, and you do it things like that. And then you put them all together and you get the satisfaction of that nice snap at the end, and all of a sudden you've got an MS. It sort of felt like that was missing here, as you've got so many parts for that inner frame that the fact that they're sort of telling you to put it all together early, you don't have to necessarily, it's just definitely going to be better. And when you're dealing with this many finicky parts here for the advanced joints on the first transforming real grade, you may just want to follow their advice. And that's going to be compounded by the fact that there seems to be a lot more text in this manual and little notes, and they're telling you, if you're transforming it into MS mode, make sure you do this first as opposed to changing it into Wave Rider mode. So anyway, that can definitely be problematic. Something else that people complained about from the beginning of this, if you're going to be jacking the price a little bit, how nice would it be if it had a blue FG, a BFG? And anyway, that didn't happen here. We've seen different combinations of real grades and high grade plates that Bandai's going to be putting out, but instead of just having that available at retail, it seems like it's not an option, and you'd have to wonder. You can see the justification of 2,500 for when you're going to be adding things like the Sky Grasper and a whole set of weapons. It doesn't seem like the options are there for the Zeta. The connector on the back here, slightly problematic. I've had this guy go toppling off twice in MS mode and in Wave Rider mode there. But let's get to the big issue here, which is the transformation, which, if I can sum it up in one word, is just going to be ugh. I've seen worse, but not many. This is pretty bad overall. And just for me, because of the overall complexity, the number of moving parts here, when you're dealing with a Master Grade 1/100th, especially the 2.0, it's far, far from perfect. And definitely problematic when you've got it on this kind of joint and everything is just this much smaller with this many more finicky parts all over the place, and the general looseness of the kit, it just doesn't come across as being fun. It's the kind of thing that you'll probably never do it again. It's almost worth just having two of these if you really want to show it off, because if you're going to go and transform this back and forth, for example, to show it off for reviews, you really probably won't enjoy it because of all the bending in the legs there. What you have to do down here, it's not all that bad, but just the general looseness of how things don't want to go together. And even when you do get them together, other parts are going to be falling off, and it's generally problematic for many, many reasons, so that ugh summary is going to stand for me. But the biggest issue, I'd say, is that overall, I usually display my MSs, and by usually I mean 99% of the time, in MS mode, and he's going to have some of the problems that the Master Grade 2.0 is, with leg stability here. The legs have these incredible bend mechanisms built in there for the transformation. However, if you just want to have him standing on the ground, the legs straight, and you don't want the legs straight, he's going to be wonky, he's going to be going from left to right, forward to back. It just doesn't seem secure, nothing wants to work, and that's going to be problematic because him standing there on the ground with his cool style should be a highlight, and instead he's going to be standing there at a derpy angle, and because of that, he's not going to look cool. Combined with the general looseness and the fact that you may never want him to transform again, though, if you can't pass that, though, are there positives? Definitely. Starting with the packaging, where you can imagine anybody who grew up with Zeta Gundam in the 80s is just going to see this on the shelf with its glossy packaging, great CG art, that incredible shot of the Wave Rider in the MS mode, and that great headshot, and they're going to want to buy this despite, yes, an extra 500 yen. Doesn't matter, to see this many details is definitely going to be a plus, especially when it's so well displayed to catch your eye. The transformation, they're going to show it off very, very well here, and it's that kind of attention to detail on the inside and outside of the box that's also going to help sell some units. The colors, I'm a huge fan of them. I always like the real grades to have the white and the off-white and the little bit of gray, but generally the colors here are really going to pop with the red and the yellow. The nice little apps, like you're going to have the yellow thrusters down there. Gray, red, yellow, everything in close proximity with a blue that's going to shine. It's just great to see this many colors in such a small area, no matter how often they do it. The seals are going to go on there. You can make him look even cooler with names all over the place, especially in Wave Rider mode, where the underside is going to look a little bit plain. If you want to decal it up, and they're going to give you lots of them, tons of options for that. Something else I really like, and some people won't though perhaps, is that the height seems overly tall. It's the same height as the HGUC, but it's going to tower over the Mark II and the RX-78 too, but it definitely looks imposing, and it definitely looks like a next generation suit because of that. They're also going to be giving you the bonuses of all of these beam sabers, and by all of them, I mean they're going to be giving you 2 long ones, which are going to look great when they go in the hand, have a peg attached onto them, and they're going to look good when you have them attached into the end of the beam rifle. Definitely one of the more memorable weapons in all of Gundam. Add in the fact that you're going to have the grenade launchers, which are going to look good on the forearms and when they're attached onto the shield. You can have them inside the shield when you transform it or not. Tons of different options, and all of the weapons are going to look good when you pop down the weapons on the forearms. Extra manipulators love the 3-finger trigger finger split, just don't go ahead and lose them. And they're going to be giving you extras if you're afraid of their flimsiness there. And when you combine that with the fact that you've got an intriguing build, I mean, yes, it's complicated, and yes, it's a little bit frustrating, especially the transformation, but at the same time, you're going to be intrigued every step of the way to see what's next and how do they pull off a transformation this complex, similar to the Master Grade 2.0 in 1/144th. It is the equivalent of a page turner there. The manual itself is incredibly stylish with lots of great color in there. You're going to need the extra information that they're going to be giving you in the extra details, but combine it with some great art, some great color splash pages, and just great everything overall. Very well done, and the color definitely helps. For the transformation, in terms of the good things that you can say, well, I'd say that these wings are going to slide out very, very well when you do that, and it's going to look good from the underside and from a few angles in the right shade of darkness at night. But now there are a few good things about the transformation. It's not all terrible. It just seems like a lot more negatives come to mind. But when you combine it, you've got the weapons, the gimmicks. The slide is going to, the shield is going to slide. You've got the beam rifle sliding all over the place. You can put the beam rifle onto the forearm, shield either way on there. And there's landing gear, so there's definitely some positives here. So you're going to be getting a verdict that's as far from overwhelming as you can get, but I'm going to give this a tentative yes, only because of what this mobile suit was. If this isn't the Zeta Gundam and it was this kind of complexity with this many problems, I wouldn't be recommending it. But at the same time, what are we talking about here? A real grade 1/144th non-parts forming, transforming Zeta Gundam, arguably the second most famous in the series. Well, new, you can argue in there. However, this is the next generation. This is the Enterprise D. This is the one that for so many people, they know and love. And to see it with this many details and this many good, attractive qualities on it is hopefully going to be enough for people to get past all of the downsides. So for me, the reason I'm going to recommend it is because I'm going to put it in MS mode and I'm going to stand it there, try to get one pose, and never ever move it again. And if you want to go aerial, you can get around a lot of the problems that you're going to be having with the legs anyway, which is a nice cheat, and they're going to give you so many weapons for so many cool poses. So if you want to do it that way and not deal with the frustration of the transformation, I'd say that this kit is definitely worth picking up, especially if you're just a fan of Zeta. On to future speculation, where let's talk about the Zeta Gundam first, because that goes across the spectrum in pretty much everything, including things like speed grade. So you've got to wonder if they're going to have to come up with more grades and more scales for us to get one of these. How about a 148? That would be a lot of fun. But in terms of the next real grade, well, it seems like they're going to be focusing on the 1 year war, 08th MS team, and a whole bunch of classic good guys and bad guys mixed in there. But you've got to wonder if there's ever going to be a Hyakushiki there. What could they do with that? Two-toning the gold? Anyway, what would the inner frame do? It definitely would be a lot more stable, though, than the Zeta, so it would be a lot of fun. And to have the whole Grips team all put together there seems like a lot of fun. And you have to wonder about the whole Zeta team. If you want to go back to Double Zeta, where the Zeta was the lead for the first half of Double Zeta, it'll be interesting to see if we're going to be getting a real grade of the Double Zeta, because the HGUC took an awful long time, and it's not that far from being new, so you wonder if Bandai wants to cannibalize its sales, or if we could have them all on the shelves. Anyway, that's my speculation. How about yours? Anyway, everybody, at the end of the day, those are just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear yours so people can hear a whole bunch of opinions with a comment down below. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time. That's a head scratcher there. Who is the second most iconic Gundam?